I think we're still, I like to try to categorize them in.
This is the Leo Klamakko Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Leo Klamakko Podcast. Today's guest is a financial advisor. Don't we all need that nowadays? Morgan Hill. How are you, Morgan?
I'm doing well, man. How you doing?
Good, man. So happy you're here.
Appreciate you. It's glad to be here.
I got a question for you. Something I read a couple days ago, and got me thinking of, could this be possible? Could this happen? So Trump is saying that if he's elected, he's going to remove federal taxes. Did you hear this?
I did not. I heard the insurance. I've heard a few, feelers, but not.
I think he spoke about this yesterday at a rally where he said he wants to completely eliminate taxes and go back to how it was in 1913. What a can of worms.
Yeah, I'd say that's very bare case. Highly unlikely, like the car.
100%, yes. What do you think if that was to happen?
I mean, it would just be an exaggeration of, the haves and the have-nots. We'd be in a completely different world of inflation, and medium exchange would be completely different.
He's saying that he would replace income tax with tariffs. And everything would have a huge markup, basically. Interesting. It just blew my mind that he even, clearly he won't be able to do it if he becomes president. There's that big if also. It just blew my mind.
Yeah, he's doing everything he can to, solidify himself in his own respect. I think even with a split, House and Senate, it's going to be very difficult to get anything.
Yeah, for sure.
Through for sure, but, can say what he wants. Guy's full of ideas,
That's one way to put it.
Yeah. He's quite the character for sure.
Morgan, tell me a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
Yeah, so I was born just outside of Baltimore, Maryland. Moved to Florida in 2013 permanently, and grew up playing golf as a sport. So
Okay.
I used that as a muse to connect with, people in, my community. So I played golf in college.
When'd you start? How old were you?
Competitively when I was 6. Yeah, so I went.
Did your dad play golf?
Yeah, he was an accountant by trade, but did it more as like a corporate, resource to build credibility and recognition within his firm, which was Ernst & Young at the time. And I saw him going out to different outings and was like, I want to get hip. I want to get, into the sport, and then loved it. Wasn't the tallest, wasn't the biggest, but it was a way I could use my, math inclinations to,
Very cool. How good were you?
I mean, my best round of golf was 64 at Don Shula in Miami.
Okay. That's not bad.
600.
Yeah.
Which was, all things considered, I thought it was pretty good. But
That's pretty good.
yeah, I wish I was in the camp of my peers at the time. So I was graduating in 2010, so coming in 2011. So Justin Thomas, Curtis Thompson, Corey Whitsitt, a bunch of guys, Michael Johnson, a lot of guys that were really credible and went SEC and are now playing on tour. So it's pretty cool just to see that circle of life come to fruition. And
Did you want that?
that's what I wanted, yeah. So I did more golf just to create a good, balance with, building rapport and a certain professional demeanor. If and when I had the opportunity to translate, golf into a business, like I grew up watching Tiger Woods, so I heard him talk about a lot of his foundation and how he gets back in the community and whatnot. So it definitely gave me a a good vision to pursue that and correlate it with academics, for sure. But got into professional financial services in 2013. I started at Northwestern and was kind of unsure. Loved the insurance segment. Loved doing the financial planning and doing the Monte Carlos, but wanted to do more research and do more investing. So went and got my master's in finance, and then started at Sanford C. Bernstein in Palm Beach. Was there for about a year and a couple months.
Very cool. Doing
a lot of work with their heavy hitters, wealth advisors there, and moved to an RIA in Fort Lauderdale for about 3 years. And then recently moved to Truist, which has been a blessing, just being around great people, great culture, great mission, and, serving our segment, which has been, fulfilling for sure.
That's incredible. I think the most golfing I've done is like mini golf and top golf.
Okay.
And like, I'm pretty tall, and I'm a lefty.
Ooh. Okay, so you're lefty by
birth.
By birth? Okay, so not ambidextrous. You're like true
lefty by birth, but some things I do righty.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Like playing pool, I'll play righty.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're dangerous. Okay.
Yeah. But like I can hit a golf ball righty, but it's much more comfortable lefty.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you see the ball come out of your sight line, you see it best with your right.
Like if I was to if I was to I can do both, right?
Yeah.
But I get a better swing. This
Swing it.
way.
Okay.
Because this is more forced.
Forced. Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, we got to get out there and play, man. I don't play as much now for, recreational purposes. It's more for work, but Top Golf, they got Pop Stroke, and shout out to Tiger. He's his spot is up in Delray Beach.
Nice.
They got 2 courses, like mini golf.
Right.
One's very undulated, the other one's flat, so it's, pick your poison.
Did you and your friends ever play for money?
Yeah, so that's kind of the only way I get the competitive juices flowing. We'll go out and play like a little NASA or, something just to get competitive and get back in that mode, because now it just doesn't stimulate me in the same way it used to,
What made you go into finance? Why? Is it because your dad did it?
It's a great question. I remember it actually like it was yesterday. It was my junior year in undergrad. I just got back from 6 a.m. workouts, and I'm at this crossroads by the College of Business.
A literal crossroads.
A literal crossroads. So it's like Volusia and University.
Can't make this shit up.
I swear to you. And, I was just talking to him about qualifying because I was, within the top 5, but had like 2 rounds to go. And I'm like, Dad, I'm about to declare if you had to go back and do it all over again, what would you do? Because he was an accountant. He was like, finance. And I was like, why? He's like, debits, ledgers, credits, it's all great. But when you're able to integrate that in a way that can, provide perspective to an organization or a family or, small business owner, it makes all the difference in the world. Financing their, business versus giving them tax advisory. It's just a different way of, perceiving value. So I took his advice at the time and ran with it. And, hindsight, glad I did it. I think going through different programs or licenses give me that familiarity on the accounting side. But, finance has been very beneficial, for sure.
So you began with insurance, right?
Yeah.
What kind of insurance?
So predominantly life, disability were like bread and butter. And not being from here, it gave me a great avenue to get my, name and credibility out.
Right.
So it was predominantly doing a lot of cold calling, a lot of, warm market leads, which, given my background, it really resonated well with me. Like it gave me that, put feet to pavement and go out and make your shit happen. But I think once I got to that 4.5 year mark, I was like, okay, this is a rinse and repeat.
Right.
You build a really good business model, you build a really good service model, but to get to that upper echelon, it's going to take a lot more, activity than intellectual stimulation. So I made that pivot to, go in to get my master's and figure out another outlet to do what I wanted to do, which is build, better lives and communities.
Got it. Break it down for me. I don't know this financial world very well. I do know that I had a couple buddies who got their Series 7, things like that. Did you go that route?
I did, yeah. So I got Series 7, 66, which you hold it with the FINRA is like an abbreviation, but it's a agency that allows you to practice, your financial securities, whether you're purchasing equities or municipal bonds, corporate bonds. Now with the bank, you have like your Series 65, which is held with the state of Florida. So you're essentially held as an investment advisor representative that allows you to create strategies to build wealth for your end clients. So it's a little different at the margin, but I started doing the 7 because I wanted to get more into the brokerage world, just to get my feet wet, understand, the pricing and activity and whatnot. So, but so definitely now you can go out and get your, SIE and a few other.
What is that?
So SIE is like it's kind of like the walk before you run, if you will. So it gets your feet wet, a good understanding. And then once you pass your SIE, you get your Series 7, and then you can pursue, other licenses and whatnot.
Does that make you a fiduciary?
Having both does. I'm on the fiduciary side with the bank now, so there's a lot of brokers that aren't held to that standard just based on their model and their license. It has to do with just licensing. So having your 7 and your 66 and other designations build that credibility and hold you to that standard. If you just are a licensed broker, you can sell any security or asset class
Any
based
BS
on just based on what you deem to be the right thing.
Break down this standard for me. What is that platform that you guys don't go under as a fiduciary?
What do you mean?
Meaning, like, what are the morals that you have to oblige by?
Yeah, great question. So as a fiduciary, you're really looking at the client's objectives. So you're considering
their needs,
not ours, right? So like if there's an investment that can make a lot of money but doesn't really serve the purpose of their objective, a broker or someone that doesn't have that fiduciary responsibility could sell it to the end client because it makes sense for them and makes, it's highly correlated to their needs, but not 100%, necessary for their end goal. Fiduciary, you have to take, their entire dynamic, their entire, picture into consideration, and then,
very interesting,
make the recommendation. So we look at how they're structured as an entity, or, based on their family dynamics. We look at their cultural background, what makes, sense from a, environmental, social, or governance perspective. You look at, all the different attributes that make them or their business tick or move it with, purpose and intention, and, try to align each investment, with their objectives. So it's.
As you're talking, I'm just envisioning how much work that's required, right? Because like you have to get to know them personally, like really understand who they are, what they want to achieve, what their end goal is, what they've done, who their kids are, what their investments are, how many homes they have, right? And like really understand what they want out of life.
Yeah.
And you times that by X number of clients, everyone's life.
Literally, yeah.
Literally.
And I can tell you, there's a lot of different objectives, a lot of different backgrounds, and characteristics that you have to really be mindful of because every personality, every energy and substance is different. So just getting acclimated with that and tailoring your approach and.
I was just gonna ask you that. How do you build trust? How do you build that connection with them that makes them feel comfortable with you to open up and share their lives? You know,
it's a great question. Personally, I look at finding a happy medium. So I know that my approach or service model isn't for everyone, right? So I share with them my mission statement. I give them, my background and ask as many inquisitive questions as I possibly can to get a good understanding of what.
It's got to be a good match.
Exactly, right? It's like dating, right? You go out and you.
Probably worse, right? It's really like you're dealing with people's money.
Exactly.
It's the most important thing in their lives.
Literally, yeah. So it's definitely. I think I'm a very genuine, authentic person, and a lot of my teammates and clients would, vouch for that. But everyone is not, synonymous with my substance and my why. So I try to be, as intentional as I can. And if it works, it works. But I like to get that, up front, right off the bat. If this is for you, this is what you envision to be your wealth experience. More than happy to, do my job and my service, for umpteen years. But it's not for everyone's. But building that trust takes a lot of time. So we do a lot of fact finding, a lot of questions, doing some listening cards, getting a really good understanding of what they're about, what their purpose is, how they're envisioning the next generation.
Right. The next whatever, even 10 years, 20 years, right? Whatever it may be.
And to that point, there's a lot of different time horizons. Some clients want to get to their exit. They want to sell their business in 6 years, get them to the exit, and then, look at a different strategy to, supplement their income that they were, receiving when they were employed. So it just varies, for sure.
Let me ask you a question. Feel free not to answer it, but I have a point to it. I want to go somewhere with it.
Okay, I love that.
How many of your clients would you say are white? Percentage.
Percentage? Yeah, I'll stick with percentage. I'd say 60%, 65%.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
definitely some diversity.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah, and I think.
I was actually expecting a higher number.
Which is, the footprints we have in the marketplace are great. They're diverse. They have a lot of
That's really cool.
background and ethnicity,
really cool.
Which is helpful, right? If you go to different banks that have a different footprint, it may be distinctly different. I won't name any names, but there are a few that come to mind that have a different makeup. But one reason I really love Truist is just the culture within, and then how we permeate that same energy within our markets and our communities. Yeah,
I really like that.
That's great.
Morgan, what can we do to make financial literacy a thing available for all?
That's a great question. To make it available for all, we have to first start with the educational system. One of the detriments I experienced, even in undergrad, was just the basic roadmap or framework to, manage your own finances. I think
You're in college for financing.
and you have,
the irony of that,
right? It's like, how to, look at financial statements. How to, interpret a balance sheet or an income statement or a cash flow statement. But, walking through your basic, personal financial statement, knowing when to use debt, when to use equity, having those conversations
The
at a
importance
very
of credit.
right, like those conversations have to happen, but that only happens when the professors or curriculum mandate it in a way that's
Right.
more intentional. I think they have a general understanding, but no one really prioritizes in the way I think it should. And it's been 100 plus since it's old. Dogs don't learn too many new tricks, so
Right.
it's hard to kind of change that in a way that compounds and then spreads amongst the masses.
Right. I feel like the shift is occurring because I feel today, right, we're almost in 2025, and I feel like a lot of people just learn online.
Yeah.
YouTube, right? YouTube has become education
Amazing.
for a lot of people,
Yeah. And that's another great point that you make is like the applications and our way of communicating now relative to, baby boomers or, other generations was drastically different.
Does not
And
compare, no.
yeah, so even, Generation Alpha is going to have a whole new way of, communicating instantaneously where it just.
Is that where we're at? We're in alpha?
So I found this out like, like a week ago. It's crazy. Yeah, crazy. 2013 till the present is considered Generation Alpha.
Really? So my son, both of my kids are Generation Alpha.
It's a fun fact.
That's cool.
I love that. Right? Like
That's
it's
really cool.
yeah,
Thank you for that.
absolutely. Yeah. So
Wow.
it's gonna be. I mean, you think of TikTok. I mean, Instagram, Snap, like all of these applications that use, a way of engagement and communication is astonishing. And if there were ways that were regulated in a more efficient way to really stimulate certain content, then I think it could hit. But the prioritization of it is a little stagnant, or it's just not, picking up the pace the way it should. But
One of my favorite social financial applications, well, two. One is Apple Pay.
okay,
It's just incredible.
love that.
It's incredible how you can I went from having to let me go put money in your bank account, right? Or let me go drop off money for you to be able to Apple Pay you through text,
Right.
or also Cash App. What a great
Great app.
You
Great
have
app.
your own bank account. You can send money. You can buy crypto. It's just the merger of tech and finance has been such I think a breath of fresh air for a lot of people. I know people who don't use a wallet, just their iPhone. Yeah, all their cards are on their iPhone. They have their car key on their iPhone, and they unlock everything through their iPhone. Pay, car, home, whatever.
Love that.
It's crazy, yeah.
Probably efficient. They don't have to lose anything.
Right. You lose your phone, it's secure.
Secure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when fintech started or was gaining prominency,
Yeah.
and it was still, a very ambiguous idea. But now I think if you're not digitizing as much as you can, especially with, the way the world's trending, it's kind of lost in translation.
You're left behind.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of that, what do you think the effects of AI is going to be on finance? Better question. What effect is it having already?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think we're still, I like to try to categorize them in different phases.
Okay.
So right now, I still consider us in the adoption phase, where everyone's adopting the idea of how it looks or how it's
Got it.
gonna feel.
So you would say 94, 95 with computers. Where we're starting to get home PCs, people are starting to, the AOL starting to come around, we're starting to get dial up.
Exactly. So everyone's still getting, you remember when all the .com,
Yeah.
there was winners and losers, right?
Oh,
So
sure, tons.
once we find that sense of,
You ever heard of Netscape?
oof, great example, yeah. Great example, yeah. Another just wild,
Or even AOL and Yahoo.
yeah,
Where they were to where they are
to where they are,
today. You know?
crazy.
Yeah.
I think from an implementation schedule or phase, we're gonna have a lot more productivity. So when I look at in my industry or sector, there's gonna be a lot more ways to find resources and solutions at scale.
That makes sense.
So, you know, regressing a history of a company or building a framework that allows for you to figure out how to maximize their value or, you know, figure out a solution to a problem, like that's going to be computationally very efficient and very fast to do, which makes the labor supply more productive, right? You can think about other things. You don't have to, you know,
Right.
pull all the PDFs into, you know, file, review them,
Right.
and, you know, all of that you can train your, or ask your, you know, AI agent, hey,
Would you say that that's from now until what, 2 years from now? Where's the cutoff that you think AI is going to take your job? That's really the question.
man, see, that's something I ask myself, because when I listen to guys like, you know, Jensen Huang and Elon and,
'Cause
you
those
know,
robots
Mark,
are coming.
they're here. They're here. Yeah, they're here. I mean, they're using them now, but I think it's going to come at the expense of the corporation. So there's going to be, and a lot of people argue this, but I think there's validity. There is a sense of governance and emotional affinity with the people you work with, right? I think 20, 30 years from now, it will highly depend on, you know, the board to really value that human interaction and engagement. I think as a civilization, it's been, you know, the essence of how we really move and provide a good source of purpose. But there are going to be, you know, jobs that have redundancies and not a lot of, you know, purpose that can really be, you know, replaced. And unfortunately, that's, you know, going to change.
I think the one upside that humanity has is that finance is very emotional. I don't think, even if we get an AI, right, that you can basically, let's say, upload your whole life, upload your whole financial history, right?
Yeah.
And have this AI calculate with its fucking algorithm whatever it's gonna do for you, right? You're still missing the emotional piece of it, the human piece of it.
Absolutely.
You know? What I can see happening is your service becoming strictly for the very, very, very wealthy. Because they're gonna want that handheld human touch and they'll be able to pay for it.
Yeah.
I think most people will be using a computer, which most are today, QuickBooks and whatnot and things like that.
Yeah.
It's a lower grade version of these things, right? But I think one day it's gonna take over.
Yeah. It'll definitely change. And I think, to your point, it's going to be highly valuable to have someone like myself that's familiar with, you know, those large language models.
Correct.
Or
You can merge the two worlds together.
And communicate it in a way that's not, you know, artificial.
Right.
It's a genuine connection,
human
a
way.
human way, right? Like, that's going to be,
Yes.
you know, a game changer, and that'll be invaluable. So I 100% agree with you on that, for sure.
It's gonna be very interesting, man. I can't even imagine where we're gonna be 3 years from now. A year ago, AI made a video of Will Smith eating spaghetti. I don't know if you've seen it.
No. Wait,
So
what?
a year ago, it looked like shit.
Okay.
It redid it this year. Completely different.
Wow.
It looks like Will Smith,
Will Smith eating spaghetti.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna look. I gotta look that.
Imagine 3 years from now, 5 years from now,
Yeah.
flies. What are we, 2025 almost? Imagine in 2030. Where we're gonna be in 2030.
It's gonna be a whole. I remember in 2022, we had negative GDP growth, a lot of stagnant activity economically,
Yep.
and the narrative was artificial intelligence. Through the end of the year, that changed the narrative of our outlook
Right.
going forward, and then 23 it was off to the races, and now it's kind of much of the same, with top players, NVIDIA, ServiceNow, all these companies that are integrating it into their business models and
Right.
getting it close to scale. Elon has done a phenomenal job with his different businesses, but it's definitely going to change the trajectory of our growth, given where everything is, because it's, if you would have told me we'd be aiding, as many geopolitical risks right now with, the turbulence of the election.
Money. Bleeding.
Bleeding, yeah, with, all the other variables.
Let's go into that. Where is America in inflation right now? From your experience, what are you seeing out there? Where's the inflation? What's real? What's not? How bad are we in the hole? It's a real question that people want to know.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely not where we were 22, right? We consider the
So you're saying it's better now or worse?
I'd say it's better, but the rate of growth is not inherently better. So what I mean by that is,
Well, they were infusing money, right? They were injecting money.
right. So we're still like around 3%, higher than where we were a year ago.
Okay.
But when you add the 9% that we were inflated back in 22, and it doesn't feel like we're saving anything more than we did. So the rate of change is better, but I think now we're going into this regime where we're cutting interest rates. We still have a lot of money supply, and with the hurricane and a few other risks out there, it only tells me that there's going to be higher inflationary pressures within our domestic market for a good period of time. But
where do you see this going? How do you see it stopping? How do you see it ending?
that's a great question. If I knew that, I'd be getting paid a lot more.
Putting you on the
Get a lot more, yeah.
Putting you on the hot seat.
Yeah, I mean, I see it progressing in a way that the rubber meets the road, right? We're going to have to make very tough fiscal and monetary decisions for the betterment of the people, not just us. 'Cause we have multiple nations that depend on us to do what we're doing, which is maintain that strength.
Here's a better question for you. Sorry to cut you off.
It's okay.
What would you eliminate if you were president? With your financial background, what would you cut? Where would you trim that fat?
It's a great question.
Just gave you a whole lot of power.
Yeah. Where would I trim the fat? Wow.
I feel it's going to be a real.
Probably. I got to think about that. I wish there was like one size fits all kind of solution.
Right.
There's a number of different.
What do you think is taking up most of our money that's unnecessary? Taxes wise, do you feel like Americans are spending so much money on this, and why are we spending so much money on that?
Well, I mean, right now, we have a large portion of our, labor in government jobs, right? So
Yeah.
we're spending a lot of money for, government-related occupations. So a lot of the growth that we've seen, or you look at the employment reports, non-farm
IRS
payroll.
hired how many?
I mean, too
Thousands.
many.
Way
Yeah,
too
but
many.
to their credit, they struggled for a good while with there's certain estate services or whatever the case is that are delayed because they don't have the supply to meet the demand for those filings. So I think there's other ways we could spend the money and create better efficiencies
Invest in Americans. Invest at home.
at home. Right.
Build trade schools.
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
We're gonna need plumbers, electricians. Let's teach America how to be self-sufficient.
And that's, everyone talks about the American dream and how that is now illustrated or depicted with having such a, you look at social media influencers and everyone wants to get to that echelon relatively quickly. How do you marry the two? Literally, how do you marry the two in a way that's not as strenuous as it's been historically.
Right.
I think that has to change psychologically, particularly for Generation Alpha, who's seen a different world than you or I saw, right?
Yeah.
Completely different.
My son was born during COVID. It's crazy.
That's right. April or no?
November
and-
2019.
Okay. Wow. And okay, so that was
The other one was born August 22.
okay.
Right as COVID was ending.
What was that? Yeah, if you don't mind me asking, what was that like?
Crazy.
Yeah.
So my son was born in November. Everything shut down in March. So he was 4.5 months, 5 months. And this was March. In April, my son had a respiratory issue. He was in the hospital for 4 days at 5 months old.
Wow.
And we thought it was COVID, right? So they put him in the ICU. He was there for 4 days. Thankfully, it was not COVID. It was
Thank
RSV,
God, yeah.
which is a respiratory virus, also very dangerous, but not COVID dangerous at that time. So scary as hell because we're in there. We had 2 masks on, gloves, the facial masks,
yeah.
all this crap.
Wow.
And we could barely touch him. It was this whole thing. It was really, really crazy. And I was in New York at that time. Yeah. So this was April 2020. October 1st, 2020, I moved to Florida.
Wow. The timing of that.
Yeah. We got the hell out of New York. We couldn't deal with it anymore.
No, yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Well, God
it was
bless.
very-
Yeah. God
yeah.
bless it. I mean,
Thank you. I appreciate that.
100%.
No, it was very crazy. But, they mismanaged that, New York,
Tremendously.
tremendously.
I went to New York in November of 21, and I mean, I was still paying, $250 for a test, right, per person.
Yes.
I don't think their restrictions were.
Took a while.
Yeah, just to
A
get on
long
a bus.
time.
I mean, I was going to on a party bus for a birthday, and they were like, "Yeah, to get on, you gotta show a negative test. But in order to show a negative test, you have to take one."
Right.
And I was like, $250 for what?
That's
It's just a
crazy.
different way. I think
Theft.
DeSantis did a great.
Yeah, it's tough. They just robbed everybody.
Yeah, for sure. But to
I
each
think
their own.
Right. I think the worst thing they did was keeping kids out of school for 2 years. Detrimental.
Particularly when first, second, third grade,
Yeah. It's critical.
You're 5, 6, 7 years. Like
You need that interaction.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And just to build that rapport, because
Right.
I'm still close with, a few of those friends to this day, and not having that, relevance
Getting that chance
or
to build that. Yeah.
yeah, it could traumatize kids for an extended period of time. But yeah, that's discouraging to see how that transpired. But
Let me switch gears real quick. Were you familiar or following or aware of that whole GameStop thing?
yeah.
Let's go into that a
Okay.
little bit.
Sure.
I want you to break that down for me. And I know it's still going on. It's still happening. Those guys are still holding. And
Yeah, he has
still
a.
increasing. What do you know about it?
I know that and this is a great testament to where I think the trajectory of wealth management is trending, right? Historically, back in, the 80s and 90s, you had, what you called active managers make money, right?
yes.
And
They're 3%, right? They're 2-3% or something like that?
yeah, so like you'll have like an active fund that says, here's the S&P, here's my, investment philosophy, here are the underlying positions. I bet that my holdings can outperform the index. And back then, because you had really good research, right? You understood the company's fundamentals, you understood
The ego.
right? Like it all made sense, and then it was depicted in the market at the right price. GameStop and other meme stocks really changed the trajectory of that relevance. From my perspective, maybe for the next 5 to 10 years, the higher interest rates will definitely create more volatility because you're getting a risk-free asset that's going to earn pretty good interest, right? For 10 years, you can get 4.10, 4.15 on a treasury. That's better than zero,
For sure.
right? Like what it was.
To park your money.
Right. So like then there was no real alternative, and he got great masses to pump the stock and others like it.
What's his name? Hello Kitty?
Hello Kitty, yeah.
Hello Kitty.
Guy's a legend.
Shout out to Hello Kitty.
yeah.
Man, you are a
Guy,
legend, bro.
Yeah, guy's just
Incredible
doing
what he did.
Yeah.
He had an entire army, bro.
Yeah.
Like these.
But to his credit, he understood the company.
Yes.
He knew how to, communicate with his audience.
Right.
And, when you can have that sense of relevance and, emotional correlation with, a mass body of people, it can transcend into, something great, which I'm grateful he's still doing,
Last I heard, he's worth 60, 70 million.
Whew.
Yeah. Like that much money.
Wow. Yeah, that's
And
wavy.
Put in, I think it was 50,000. Something crazy like that.
Yeah, and you look at Ray Dalio and other guys who have this credibility for years, right? Like, I'm not saying Hello Kitty is Ray Dalio, but that can,
To a lot of people, he might be.
for the next 10 years, I could see his name holding prominence to, a certain segment of.
100%. I think it's holding right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you can always find, I guess, trust, or for those who follow him, you can find trust in his narrative or his beliefs or his mantra,
For free on YouTube.
For free.
Isn't that crazy?
Which is great. Yeah. Absolutely.
Break down for me, how can this end? He can hold forever? Basically, he can hold forever, right?
He can hold forever. I think, regulators tried to find a way to bring it to a halt, and they were in court for
a while.
For a while, yeah. It was.
But legally, he has the right to hold forever.
Absolutely, yeah. And he's a smart guy. He's not, leaving himself naked.
No. He sold a few.
Yeah, or like creating
he cashed
some.
out a little bit.
Yeah, have to. Yeah.
Bro, 60 million? You cashed out 20. Keep 40.
Right.
Keep holding them.
Exactly. Sell some calls out of the money.
But this brought down a huge hedge fund, didn't it?
Yeah. So there's a.
They're like $3 billion in the hole, something like that.
Yeah, there was a lot of investors that were playing. Citadel, a few others that were just combative with his whole approach. And I think anytime you bring someone new to the table and they want a seat, bullies are going to find their way. But at the end of the day, if he can, stay true to himself, stay true to his message, retain his audience, and it's going to hit, But shout out 60. I did not know. Man, that's, it's making me reconsider. Yeah. That's a lot.
It's a lot.
A lot of money, but yeah, I think now it's definitely holding prudence with having a good. So like myself, I'm in the process of registering for level 3 of the CFA charter, which is basically a society that has 10 subject matters on an exam that give you what's called your CFA charter, but it's all based on financial literacy and company-specific information. So understanding how to value an asset in today's marketplace. So having that
interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely a different beast. But having that background and having the familiarity with volatility, volume can change your perception on how prices can move for an extended period of time, right? Like if you saw the relative value or fair value of something at $10, right? But volume and volatility drove it to a place where it's just not that, based on geopolitical risks or based on company-specific risk or based on meme or headline risks. That
or
having
a tweet.
Right. I mean, and if you can have both resources to validate your perspective, it can only enhance your way of managing money. So I think there's a lot of people that have one bias versus the other, but I think now, next 20 years, you're going to have both to really move that needle, and
That's crazy.
Quantitative as well.
I've been seeing a lot of reports, banks like TD, Deutsche Bank, all running transactions for cartels and criminals. How does that happen? Based on your opinion, on your experience, how does that happen? Do these banks just not give a fuck? They just open the door. We'll take your money's good here.
Deutsche Bank, a few others have had some issues. From my experience, knock on wood, we haven't had too many. We haven't had too many issues, thank God. And we have a lot of anti-money laundering, continuing education frameworks. So it's kind of ingrained in our head. But everyone's way of managing, labor and is different. And when you're trying to integrate this certain aura or clientele, it can change the trajectory of your mission statement. But I mean, layering and placement, all that stuff has been going on for years.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, I remember 2008, 2009. A lot of what kept the economy afloat was drug money.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, when you have every asset price known to man, all your municipal bonds, everything's
what an interesting point that is.
Yeah. I mean, what else would? Yeah. I mean, just reading.
No, and it makes so much sense because everyone's depressed.
Yeah.
So the drug market is going up.
Yeah. And you just look at what else? How else are you gonna hold everyone from, withdrawing their money or selling out. Like, you got to get the reserves from somewhere. So, yeah, there's a few, like, case studies or papers that give you some insight with that. But
that reminds me of World War II, when the U.S. government asked the mafia to secure the ports.
Crazy, right?
Crazy.
Yeah. It's wild, man.
Yeah.
But it definitely, opens your eyes to just how
the world works.
Seriously. Yeah, for sure. And
there's layers, right?
facts, yeah. A ton. And then even when, you think that there's, no more complexity to each of them, they just, grow and enhance.
A new branch comes out.
Literally.
A new tree spurts out.
It's crazy, man.
It's so crazy.
Yeah. I wish.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say I wish there was a way to, encapsulate it. Have you ever seen like a movie, like Big Short or?
Yes.
I wish there was a way or some eye. Shout out to Mike. Has the eye to really put the illustration or feature presentation together to encapsulate it or when it's gonna happen, right? Like.
There's a movie about Hello Kitty. Did you know that?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I've seen that.
It's a good one.
Trying to think. COVID. I'm not sure. Maybe it's gonna be. Yeah, I'm interested to see what producer will do that.
Yeah.
And just the hysteria around it. Like I know we've had like virus-related
Right.
movies come out, just depicting what it would.
Probably still too
See?
soon, no?
Yeah.
Probably still
I think
too
it's.
soon.
I mean, I go to the airport now. I still people with wearing masks.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, China's been doing it for
Forever.
years, which now kind of makes sense, right?
No.
But
Morgan, where do you see yourself in the next 5-10 years? Where do you want to be?
it's a great question. I appreciate you asking. 5 years from now, I'd like to be personally. I like to be married. I like to have.
How old are you?
I'll be 33 November 24th.
Okay.
So
It's a good age.
I appreciate that. Done a lot of critical thinking and scenario analysis on the right time to, really indulge. But I'd like to be there. I'd like to be professionally in a place where I'm, living out my purpose for my clients and for my community.
You have children?
Yeah, I want to have max of 4.
Max of 4.
Max of 4. 4 is a good number for me. I have 2 siblings, so 3 is very sentimental to me as well.
Yeah. I love all you people with no kids wanting 2, 3. I love all of you. I just love all of you.
Until, right?
Oh
Yeah.
my God. Go have 1.
And then see.
Go have 2. And then go see if you want 4.
Man, I know it's gonna be. It could definitely make. I mean, you know better than me, but just the excitement. Like every day is different.
It's
There's
100%.
nothing that is like just copacetic or
No.
flatline. Like there's ebbs and flows and.
Oh yeah.
But
to your point, my 2-year-old learns a new word every day. Every day something new comes out of his mouth. He's at that age where he's like a sponge.
I love
and
that.
He's just sucking up everything. I have to be careful with what I say because every single word he's repeating.
I love that.
It's awesome. They grow so fast.
And your oldest.
Is about to be 5 in November.
Okay, so kindergarten is like.
Yeah.
Right around
He's
the corner.
So smart.
Love
Yeah.
that.
He's such a bright boy. And he loves cars. He loves planets. He loves
Nice.
dinosaurs.
Nice.
Very into science. Very into reading. So
Love that.
every day in school, he does something new. And he loves coming home and sharing, telling us what he did that day. It's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
See,
that's
like
awesome.
those are the moments where my energy is very protective and intentional.
Yeah.
So I think the best way to extend that is to, provide and
Yes.
be a
100%.
anchor. Doing it in the capacity I've done it now is fulfilling, but it's not stimulating it in a way that's going to carry that
I know what you mean.
baton, you know? So
the gears change, man. It's no longer about you.
Facts.
You know?
Yeah. If you don't mind me asking, what was that needle for you to make that decision?
So I got married at 28.
Okay. Had
my first kid at 31. Had my second kid at 33. I'm 36. I'll be 37 in February.
Nice.
So I've always wanted kids. Always. I kind of wish I had them earlier.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I want to enjoy my kids as adults. That's always been my dream. To have my kids be 18, 19, 20, and me be at a good age to still enjoy them.
To still see it, yeah. Love that.
So my kid's going to be, by the time he's 20, I'll be 50. So it's a good age.
Yeah.
We'll be able to hang out, be able to talk, have great conversations, you know? But my thing is, I've always wanted to be a father. I've always wanted to, protect and lead and share my knowledge and, you know, and bro, nothing will light you up. Doesn't matter what day you're having. You come home. I push the key code on my door. I open the door.
And you already...
Daddy!
You already know, yeah.
And they're just running towards me, hugging me and kissing me. I could have had the worst fucking day. That moment changes everything.
Everything. And before, like, you know, my background with a family dynamic wasn't as optimistic, or I didn't have the same affinity for it. Yeah. But as I progress in age, like, I've found more clarity around just my, you know, demeanor and how, you know, I present myself.
You're going to be a great dad.
I appreciate that.
You're going to be a great dad.
I appreciate that.
You have the right energy. You have the right mindset. I can see you being a great girl dad, too.
Yeah, I feel like God is going to bless me with, like, 3 girls. I say this all the time, like, not a testament to, you know, my prior life, but 3 girls, 2 girls, all girls. Whatever the number is, it's probably going to be all girls.
I can see it. That's why I feel the energy.
Love that. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Hair.
Yeah. So my sister, shout out Monet. I used to braid her hair, and you know, she taught me how to do the weave.
Yeah,
you know, the cornrow. Like,
that's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm well prepared for all that. You know, but 10 years. Hopefully, you know, running my own shop. Or being that prominent figure within, you know, well.
What else do you think you need to make that jump?
It's a great question. Personally, in my opinion, I think I need to fail. I need more failure.
Do you know it's a great way to fail? Go start a business.
Yeah, that's actually a great point. I definitely am in that phase where failure is teaching me a lot.
Yeah.
And being in certain rooms, talking with certain people, being in certain environments that don't accept my, you know, articulation or way of thinking, or managing money for that matter, can be, you know, a lesson that I can
for sure
reflect and, you know, progress. So God willing, I know his timing is everything, and his purpose is everything, so I don't question that. But if I had to pinpoint, you know, one thing that's gonna make that next step, it's gonna be having a body of failures really mold the ultimate success.
I love that you're seeking failure. I love that.
And just, pushing the needle, you know?
100%.
Like,
a word of advice that I would say to you is start now. Why? Because you have a really good career, you have a really good industry that you're in, and you have that to fall back on. So get your failures out while you're still working a 9 to 5.
Right. That's a great perspective. I appreciate that. Definitely.
it's gonna take a lot more from you. You're gonna have to come home between 7 and 2 in the morning and work, right? But you're gonna get exactly what you want. You're gonna get all the kinks out. You're gonna get all the failure out while you're still making money.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And then by the time you're actually ready, you'll be able to actually build something, give it 6 months, quit your job, go full in.
Right. Yeah, I think that timing is essential. It's particularly, life is only getting more expensive. It's not necessarily
not getting cheaper. No way.
So I think
inflation.
Yeah, I mean, definitely not regressing at all. But I appreciate that feedback. I'm a very pen to paper kind of guy, so I love putting in countless.
It's exactly what I did. I started in 2015, 2016, and I was an IT director for Star Companies. You heard of Star Companies? Hank Greenberg, former CEO of AIG.
Yeah.
He left AIG in 2010 and became CEO of Star Companies, which was a sister company to AIG. I was his personal IT guy for like 2 years. Hank Greenberg, yeah.
Love that.
Him and the entire C-suite for Star Companies.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was that experience like?
Hell. It was hell, yeah.
Really?
He used to throw his cell phone at me. All kidding around. He used to scream at me and throw his cell phone at me.
Wow.
Yeah.
He was animated as well.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Gives me like...
But it taught me a lot. Taught me a lot.
Do you feel like there is value in like kinetic learning?
Yes. For me, yes. I'm not sure if that works for everybody.
Yeah.
But that works for me.
Same.
Yeah.
Definitely like...
Because I wanted to be in that world. Right? So, tough skin. Let's go.
Yeah.
Love
that.
Yeah. You get through this, okay, I'll gladly pick it up and fix it and bring it right back to you. That's the attitude.
Yeah.
Can't be mad at it. No.
Embrace it, because when it's positive, I mean, he probably went to certain extents to really emulate or portray that sense of gratitude or happiness for.
Yeah. He made sure to embarrass me. Made sure in front of everybody.
So he loved it. Yeah. He loved it. Yeah.
He loved it.
Yeah.
Probably got a hard on from it.
For sure.
He's like 5'1", 5 feet tall.
Oh, okay.
He's 5 feet tall, like 95 years old.
God, what? I think he was taller. Okay. Wow. Yeah. So little Napoleon, like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Very powerful man.
So that's wild.
Wow. But that's the environment that I was in while I was failing.
Okay.
I built 2 companies, failed, built my 3rd one, had success.
Love that.
Yeah.
And none of those failures, and maybe...
There were lessons. There weren't really failures.
Right.
Because I had to go through that.
I don't look at the absence of... I mean, the Bible teaches you, like, faith without works is dead, right? So there's no life without, applying yourself in some capacity. So whether you fail while working is more, to your point, like a lesson than it is,
100%.
Death or failure.
I didn't ask you this question. What is your relationship with God?
I mean, it's my anchor. It's what I start and end my day with. Particularly, I'd say the past 7 or 8 years, it's really enhanced to a place where I can find clarity in every day.
That's incredible.
And be intentional, which is very grateful to him for giving me that sense of intentionality and consistency.
Yeah.
It's been a blessing, for sure.
That's incredible. I'm part of a weekly Bible study session.
Okay.
It's me and 7 other guys.
Nice.
All over the country. And we basically read a verse. We ask each one how they interpret it, how they feel about it. And we get down to meaning, and we go deep. into the verse and deep in how it connects with our lives and where we are currently. So I like it so much that I'm starting one here in person.
Okay.
Let me know if you want to be a
Yeah,
part of that.
love that.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah. What made you, I guess, start the group, or was there a pivotal or climatic?
I just hear calling, and I think it's required. I think men are lacking a space to be able to express themselves and to connect with God and connect with other men in a higher vibrational frequency. You know, I feel like places for men to go, it's a bar, right? With alcohol, with things that aren't serving you.
Right.
I want to build a place where men can have that same space, come here, watch sports, hang out, play poker, but also connect with God and yourself.
Love that. Because, I mean, that self-awareness you gain from having that sense of devotion.
Yeah.
And then, enhancing that with certain sense of fulfillment. Because, to your point, like, men go out, as a male, like, we go out to
Strip clubs, bars.
find that fulfillment or that,
Yeah.
moment where it just feels at ease. But
Right.
if you can internalize that in a way that devotes
And
to higher thinking,
It's all quick fixes.
right.
Quick dopamine hits.
Yeah. But I appreciate you extending the invitation for sure.
No problem, man.
Would love that.
Morgan, this has been incredible.
Yeah,
What a
I
great
really enjoy it.
conversation.
Absolutely, man. I really appreciate you.
I appreciate you, bro. Let the people know where they can find you. What's your IG, website, whatever you got.
Yeah, so Morgan Alexander is on Instagram, Morgan Alexander Hill on LinkedIn, truest.wealth.com. Appreciate
I'll make sure
it.
to put all those links down below.
Absolutely.
My man, it's been a pleasure meeting you.
Appreciate you.
Let's definitely do a round 2 soon.
Absolutely. Would love that.
Yeah, 100%.
We'll reflect on all that's transpired and some new endeavors as well.
Exactly.
Love that.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you.
Guys, hope you enjoyed that. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.